Asutakunayana Sumayana Siataya. Welcome to Reigniting the Soul Spark, a podcast dedicated to supporting you as you navigate spiritual awakening and step into spiritual enlightenment. Through conversation, meditations, and light language activation, the intent is to remind you of the spark that rests within the center of your heart so that you may find the truth of what it means to be fully alive. Hi, my name is Zara. If it feels in resonance with your soul, get comfy, relax, and enjoy the ride. Asumayana siatayana konayana siataya. Aya konayana. How are you today? Kona siatayana sumayana siatayana sutayana sutayana sutaya. Ayana sutayana sumayana siatayana sutayana konayana sutayana konaya. We're just setting a little resonance in the field before we begin. Ayana konayana sutayana 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 sutaya kumayana siataya. If you've already listened to the first episode and are feeling a resonance with this beat, kumayana siatayana sutayana siatayana sutayana siatayana sutayana kumaya. I see you, and thanks for returning. It is important to ensure that you feel at home here in this space because it is always an activational transmission. No matter what's said, kunasiatayana, sutayana, 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 sutukumayana, siatayana, sutayana, sutayana, sutukunayana, siataya. We're lifting the gateway to the heart. And it can transpire differently for each one of us, but there is a very particular resonance in this field. And it's not one to take lightly. It will start to break down your wall so that you see the truth of who you are. Ayana, kunayana, sutayana, 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 sutakunayana, sutayana, sumayana, siataya. And everything that's out of alignment with that kusiatayana, siataya, seed of existence that is within you, your eternal heartbeat, and your soul's grace will no longer be able to exist in your reality field. So 1, 2, 3 episodes, not going to make much of a difference. But if you really hook into this energy, if you really want to be seen for who you truly are, in this particular dimension that we walk through, sutakunayana, sutayana, sumayana, siataya, then this will help do the trick. You, of course, are the link. You are the missing ingredient. You are all that's needed to show up. And this podcast is just to help you get back on track. Sunayana, sutakunayana, siataya. So, kunayana siataya. As we end this little opening segment, kunasiatayana sutaya, in which we just clear the residual energy from the field. Everything that's no longer working, sutaya, kunayana siataya, it starts to go by the wayside. It starts to become obsolete. Sumasya. Kunayana siatayana sutaya. And everything that is doing you an absolute phenomenal service will begin to be seen. Kasitu kunayana siataya. And to release yourself from anything unpleasant, anything at all that you no longer wish to have in your time and space. That's what we're here for, kunayana siataya, to bring in the most magnificent existence that you could possibly imagine. And it has nothing to do with circumstantial evidence that you're alive. In other words, it has nothing to do with your life and what occurs in the external realms. What you see as you go about day-to-day existence. What you experience here in these primordial fields of creation is something so much more. Kasutakunayana, Sutayana, 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 Sutaya. And that's the beating and the rhythm of the eternal flame of the heart. So this podcast is specifically designed to locate you, the ones who have already mastered time and space beyond this dimension. And you've just forgotten exactly what it is you're capable of. Sutakunayanasya. Many of you are stepping up. You're on the line, ready to begin the race, so to speak. Others of you have no idea because you're drowning in doubt and disbelief. And some of you are already well on your way. Sutakunayana, Sutayana, Sutayana, Sutakunayana, Sumaya. So we're going to meet you where you're at. My sole purpose on the earth this time around is to help you remember. But really, you don't need me. And you don't need anyone for that matter. You are capable of it all. The remembrance, the procession, the activation, and the coding fully installed. However, sometimes there's a timing. Like when the cake is cooked to perfection, the timer will ding. Sunayana, Sumayana, Siyataya. Or the rodeo comes to an end. It's the signal for everyone to go home. And it's time to go home, my friends. And we're each a part of it. So you can take these podcasts as that signal. It's time for the revolution to truly begin. But it's not your ordinary revolt. In fact, it's anything but. Because there is no violence. There is no war. It's a revolution to end all that has built up on this earth plane as a result of the above. Sutakunayana, Sutayana, Sumayana, Siyatayana, Kunayana, Siyataya. And this isn't just about loving your neighbor as yourself or finding more peace within your daily life. Yes, this is a part of it. And yes, this is critical to establishing a foundation of people who can lead a charge. But the real charge, the real revolt, Gonasyataya Kumayanasya, is within your DNA. Ayana Kunayana Sutayana Sumayana Syatayana Kunayana Syataya. You are going home back to the eternal state of one, where you see no harm in the external appearances of anything or anyone in this life. Where you can recognize the internal as well as the external rhythms of joy, sorrow, laughter, tears, bliss, and pain, all the same beautiful gifts. When you can see them, Kunayana Syataya, as each individual manifestations of energy in physical form, then you can make a conscious choice. Rejecting what is unwanted, Sutakunayana Syatayana Sutakunayana Sya. That is the gate to destruction. So how can we bring it all in? Be all of it. In all of its beautiful forms and in all of its dissatisfactions. Katsuto konayana sumayana syatasuto konayana syataya. That's a critical key in taking on an infinite state. You let go of judgment. You remove separation. It becomes a completely different game. And you're in the driver's seat. Katsuto konayana sumayana syatayana sutayana konayana syataya. Onaya, onaya, onaya. I see so much perfection in you that I can't express it with words. Primordial sound is literally kumanasyataya, the only resonance where I can meet you and truly experience the joy that you are. Because you most likely don't know. You may have an inkling. You may slightly understand. Or you may be in full resonance of bliss. But do you truly know your infinite capacity? And that is what many, if not all of us, have forgotten. Sutto konayana syataya. And that is why we find ourselves in the position that we are in here on this earth. Corruption, greed, control, power, overtaking the basic fundamental right of life. And that is to have fun. Sumayana syatayana konayana syataya. And so as you repair your internal state, the external world will begin to shift. And you'll know who you are. And you'll recognize you have a right to be fully alive. Oh, yeah. I walk about my daily life in this transcended state. It is bliss. It is blessed. It's an infinite expression of who I'm here to be. It's not because of an amount of money in my bank account or a particular circumstance that has or has not occurred. It's because I see the source of all that is in each breath and movement that I make. I'm able to comprehend life outside of the fallen matrix better than many. Not because I am more gifted or skilled. Not because I have a certain destiny that others do not. I see the world for what it is because I was born remembering. Just like you. However, the blinders were placed on somewhere along the way. All you need to do is take them off. Konayana, sutta, konayana, sutayana, sutayana, konayana. Kasutta, konayana, sya. And so as I speak, konayana, sumayana, syatayana, syataya, we're lifting this veil that's permeated creation. And we're lining you up with more of the infinite divinity that you truly be. Sutta konayana, syatayana, sumayana, syatayana, konayana, syatayana, sutta, sutaya. We are vibrating energy that has solidified here to have the most incredible experience. Truly, you are here for the ride of your life. Gunayana Sumayana Siataya. Asya. Asya. Asya Dayana Kumayana Asya. So I operate from a perspective that we are not separate. Yes, we may appear this way in this time-space continuum. We may have different bodies, different shells, different suits, different souls, different lifetimes, different experiences. I could go on and on. But we are individuated fractals of the same original source. This source gave rise to all life. And because you are a fractal of the whole, you can reclaim your original essence. And we can reweave the original template that did not see such distortion, in which you lost your true gifts. And so as we come back to this original source gateway, we must be willing to let go. To let go of all of it that does not serve. Each piece of existence that we have built in order to maintain status quo is now irrelevant. And so what happens when life begins and you fade away? The version of you, the version of you that was not in alignment with your soul's original destiny. Life becomes a game, because that's what this hologram is. We have hints and tools all around us to awaken us to who we are. And if you want to go on the ride of your life, it's best you set your intent. Sumayana, 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 Siataya. I become all of me. That's all it takes to begin a revolution of one. Asutukuna Siatayana, Sumayana, Siataya. Imagine a flame. That flame can individuate into countless flames over and over and over again. Within its very makeup is an endless ability to replicate. And if uninterrupted with a continual fuel, each flame will continue to burn. That is the individuated cellular state. The cell. The origin of existence in this time-space continuum. It's time to get it back online. Sutukunayana Sumayana Siataya. Asutukunayana Siatayana Sumayana Siataya. So we're kind of like that flame. We had all the power of the original one. And we decided to take a journey from that original source state so that we could play. We could dance. We could live and find joy however we wanted to express. The process was brilliant. And in fact, we came down to a stage for a play. We chose who we wanted to be. We chose who we wanted to play as the lead, who would play supporting roles, and when actors would exit stage right or stage left. We originally designed the game. The matrix is a gate. You walk in and out with ease. anytime you please, except when your memories become corrupt and access gates blockaded. And that's a good synopsis of what occurred here, not just on planet Earth, but many different star systems. However, there is currently a bridge that is shining so brightly, and you can step across it here in physical form to ignite the process of homecoming in the etheric realms. Gunayana, Sumayana, Syatayana, Gunayana, Syatayana, Gunayana, Syataya. It's called remembering your existence as one, as this pure, eternal state of love, but not these watered-down versions of what we're currently seeing. The versions where we take each other for granted or step over one another in the street because we have someone important to see or a place to be. Nor is this version one that requires a special someone in your life to make you feel complete. This love is an expansiveness that shines so brightly from your eyes that everyone that you meet wants to take you home, sit you down at their table, and just share, because they know that you see them for who they truly be. This is the love that accepts all for who they truly are. They know that you recognize them for the spark that they are, and they know that they want some of what you've got. This is the love that knows pleasure and pain as two faces of the same coin. This is the love that leaves judgment at the door and walks through it regardless of race, religion, creed, color, or a societal concept of wealth. This is the love that we are each trying to find, whether we know it or not. And we've been looking in all of the wrong places. Bring it back to the heart. The gateway to eternal existence. The gateway, Gunayana, Syatayana, Sumayana, Syataya, to the truth of who you are. This gateway, it celebrates pleasure and pain. It celebrates each phase of existence, regardless of its face. And that's when the real change can begin. This gateway would never in a million years walk over someone dying in the street without a massive burst of light shining from their spine to ignite a revolution that would transform poverty and suffering to peace. It is time to drop the facade and expose the game for what it is. Onayana sutta gunayana syantaya. It has nothing to do with the protests in the street. It has nothing to do with the war that is raging for your soul. Kasutta gunayana sya. It is you. Asumayana syatayana sumaya. It is time to drop the facade and expose the game for what it is. Kasutta gunayana sumayana syataya gunayana sya. It's all you. You are the original one source creator in physical form. You are the original essence of life, embodied here, having the time of your life. Or so you thought. Because there's a tipping point that we're looking to reach on this earth plane. And if you come on this ride, you will never look back because the adventure heats up. The story just begins, and the essence of who you are breaks through the boundary walls of density, and you get lit up. Sumayana syatayana konaya. No stimulants required. Just good old-fashioned eternal source light. Kasutta konasya. That's the end game. If you've listened to this trailer, you'll know that happened to me. Not your ordinary awakening experience. Time and space shifted and allowed a current to be run through my cells so that I could literally move mountains. Wormholes appeared, and I had to figure out how to shut them down. Part of my training, Sunayana Sutaya. My essence began to speak in the form of primordial sound. And from that day onwards, my essence led. Because the ride that I had been on, I was ready to get off. But I had been so blinded and lost in the pain of separation, trials and tribulations of existence, that I wanted to hold on for dear life. Fears of financial loss, survival, heartbreak, pain. It kept me in a never-ending cycle of violence in the form of negative patterning within my own self, in which I would accept less than greatness for this very existence. So when the moment happened in which I ignited my light, I walked away from existence as I knew it and created the one I knew was meant to be. Sumayana Syataya. For me, there were some serious bumps and bruises along the way. Some pretty painful because I still had distorted aspects and residual energy from past trauma and programming. I hadn't sat with all the less than desired occurrences to recognize why they were recreating. And once I had, that's when I began to run. I got to my feet after getting knocked back and started again. Because I had gotten it. I needed to know exactly what it felt like to fall over and over again so that I could see the loops. These were the loops of karma that I had still not cleared. Once I saw the loops, and this was the repetitive patterning, and it would form again in relationship or circumstance until I really saw the lesson. Once I saw these loops, I could make a change. Some of us have easier times perceiving what we are replaying in our worlds, whether that be the same relationship that we've had with our parents, reappear with our partners and our children, or whether that be emotional, mental, or physical abuse. Anything less than wanted is still a road open for discovery. And once you discover that there's a different destination, that's when it becomes an easier ride. But first you must believe. You must know you are worthy to get it right. To have a life here that you truly desire to live. Because when you turn on your light, the realities of this world don't just fade away. In fact, they can intensify because you want to be seen. Every aspect of you wants to reclaim its voice. And it wants this voice to be heard. And it's your job to listen. Because when you listen, you make an instantaneous shift to a new timeline. You create a new adventure to be had, a new world to play in. Then you have to ground in what is true for you. And if you ground into the realization that all of it, no matter what has occurred, what has presented, including trauma, abuse, pain, if you can ground into the realization that it was all here to guide you home, that's when the real revolution, begins. You have cracked the code to human existence and can begin to light up the night. Ding, 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 Gonayanasya. We've got a winner. This one can now direct his or her own life because there is no one to blame, no one to judge, no one to follow or be led by. Nothing was ever wrong. It was only what I created to find my way home. And when you shift to that perspective, your compass lines up with the light that you are and you ignite. The game is up. There is no fear, there is no sorrow, there is no grief that can take you anywhere that you don't want to go, because you designed it all. These emotional counterparts of joy, happiness, and laughter are just as much the experience of the game as the ones we favor. So as you begin to reevaluate your awakening journey, can I have your consent to make a shift for you in this field? If not, it may be a good time to stop this podcast. But if you are ready to take it to the next step, Asyutukunayana Sumayanasya, let us begin. Asyutukunayana Sumayanasya Dayana Syutukunayanasya. You are God, Kunayanasya. You are the all, the one source of all that is. Sumasya Dayana Sutayana Sutukunayanasya. You are a reflection of me and I of you. What we experience with each other is what we experience from within. If we apply this to our own lives in real world terms, it would look like self-responsibility. Never another word of what he or she did wrong. We would always look internal to self-correct. If someone is not valuing our worth, they are showing us we don't value it as well. If someone is aggressively communicating with us, where are we in our own aggressive patterns? Are you experiencing psychological abuse? Where are you beating up yourself within? These are all very real phenomena that we deal with as a human species. If we are able to understand the framework from a higher source, then we can shift the inner dialogue that has been running for eons. It is time for a revolution. The revolution begins within. The revolution is not for the faint of heart, because you will dive through the deepest of troughs to make sure you get it. If you are really here to level up, it's going to be a process of ascent. And the key word here is ascent. You are moving frequency. You are shifting density. Because the quantum state of love is a holographic reality that shines from the inside out. The only possibility to have a world, whether individually or collectively as a species, in which you experience a truly beautiful version of events, is to set yourself free. Free from your own internalized pain and suffering. And so here's a technique we're going to master together, and it has to do with the breath. Many of us are beginning to become aware of how powerful a trigger an inhale and an exhale can be. Today, though, I'm going to take you through a certain rhythm with the soul. Then you can apply or discard as you wish. Because the most important journey is yours. Only pick up the tools that resonate with your own cause. And that cause, it's to get in line with the soul's free will choice and reclaim who you are. Asyutta Konayana Sutayana Sutta Sutaya. Asya Dayana Konayana Syatayana Komayana Syatayana Sutayana Sutta Sutayana Sutta Konayana Sutayana Sutaya. So as you look into the breath, Sutta Konayana Sumayana Sutayana 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 Sutaya. Look at it for all that it be. start to open the diaphragm. Expand the ribs. And experience the eternal essence of the soul. The light that you shine, Sutakonayana, Syatayana, Sutaya, will always be. But do give it space to be recognized in physical form. Sutakonayana, Sumayana, Syatayana, Sutakonayana, Syatayana, Sumayana, Syataya. Aya. So drop into the space where you connect with your breath from a form outside of you. Sutakonayana, Sumayana, Syatayana, Sutayana, Konayana, Sutayana, Sutayana, Sumaya. That's where you're going to find the space to be truly alive. The rhythm does not necessarily matter. It's going to be in line with your own eternal self. It's going to be ready for you when you are ready for it. And you are going to feel the expanse. Each and every time you inhale, deep into the pit of the belly, and each and every time you exhale. It is going to ignite the cellular energy, the spark that gives rise to all of life. And it will fuel this center point of existence like no other. When you bring oxygen into the body with present moment awareness, you fuel the life that you are. You fuel the life that exists. Sutakonayana Syataya. Kasutakonaya. And you can use this with any emotion that arises, any unpleasant thought or feeling. Bring it back within. Don't try to ignore it or disrupt it by pushing it away. It is also feeding your fire, your internal drive to be one with God, to be truly alive. Sutakonayana Sya. Sutakonayana Syatayana Sutta Sutayana Sutayana Konayana Sya. So let's take an example here. Imagine if you are a woman or a man on this earth plane who has been taught that they must be in fear of an externalized event or of a circumstance that has not occurred. Bring this back through your breath. Sit in presence with it. It could be swarming through your head in the form of thoughts or negative emotions. Or it could already be circulating through your cells and causing physical disease. Doesn't matter what stage and to where the fear has overtaken you. All you're going to do is let it be free. Let it exist. And then you are going to move it from the realm of pain and suffering into this bright golden light that exists within the center point of your heart. That's the heart's gate. It's where all exists and nothing is judged. And that will transmute the density into real life, into energy that fuels the spark of your existence. Take yourself out of your head and into your heart. Use the breath as the candle to your flame. Take all that does not exist as a pleasure, something you may refer to as pain, and use it as fuel. It's going to spark the ignition. So a deep inhale. And as you exhale, you bring it closer. Whatever that fear may be, you allow it to exist. You no longer struggle against. And you begin to breathe it into the fire of your own heart's gate. And that is what will change the world. A nation of individuals who are ready to take responsibility for their self-worth. You have the right to be truly alive. You have the right to be truly present. You have the right to truly experience this existence for the love, the laughter, and the expression of what it's meant to truly be. And that, my friends, is the gift that can change the world. It is when you ignite your light, when you accept responsibility for transmuting your own pain, and you do not hand it back to another. We have done this for so long in the form of verbal assault, arguments, passing the buck to whoever it may be. It is done individually and as a collective race. And we've come to an end. It is time for it to end. And it has come to an end. Because the new beginning exists. It awaits you to greet it with open arms. And the transcendent state of recognizing all as a gift is the easiest access point to guide you through the darkness into the light out again, and see it all as a magnificent spark of creation. And that's when you hold the center line. You can walk existence for what it truly is. That is when you know your heart. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this episode has sparked the remembrance of who you truly are. If you've enjoyed this space, could you please like, follow, share, and/or subscribe? Your actions here assist me in reaching more people who could use a hand in reweaving their genetic lineage as one. I would be so incredibly thankful. I'd like to thank Life Effects Living Water for supporting me and this episode. Life Effects Living Water droplets revitalize, restructure, remineralize, and clean any fresh water from a multitude of contaminants, including fluoride, heavy metals, chlorine, agricultural and industrial chemicals, and pathogens. They are my best friend when it comes to removing what filtration misses, intracellular hydration, and supporting the ascension process. You can learn more at lifefxlivingwater.com. If you're looking for additional support on your journey, please visit my website, zarajmalstedt.com. I love questions and comments. Please feel free to get in touch. And lastly, if you feel to contribute to the growth of this work through a donation, please see the Patreon link in the show notes attached. Kasyutukunayana sumayana siataya. May you remember who you are as the eternal essence of all that is.